माधव कुंज बिहारी
Radha Madhava
जय कुंज
Bihari
जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवर धारी जय
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari
যশোদানন্দন ব্রজ জনরঞ্জন
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana
যশোদানন্দন ব্রজ জনরঞ্জন
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana
জয় গিরিবর
Yamuna Tira
যমুনা তীর বনচারী
Yamuna Tira Bonachari
জয় রাধা মাধব জয় কুঞ্জ বিহারী
Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari
হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম 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 হরে হরে
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Radha Madhava Ki Jai
জয়
Guru Srila Prabhupada
পাদ
Ki
কি
Jai
জয়
Nitai Gaura Pramanande
হরি
Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Caitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Shapadantikam Vande Aham Shri Guru Rijuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupa Shakrayatam Shahagana Raghunatharanitam Tam Shajivam Shadvaitam Shavabhutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Kṛṣṇa Caitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Shahagana Lalita Sri Vishakharnitanscha Namo Yang Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityānanda Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Pachatya Deshotarine Vanchakalpataro Vaishakripa Priya Vacha Patitanang Pavonebhya Vaishnavebhya Namo Namaha Jaya Śrī Kṛṣṇa Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are constantly reading from Śrī Caitanya Charitamrita. And we're starting at chapter 5, Adi Leela. Title of this chapter, Glories of Lord Nityānanda, Balarāma. So, very beginning, Srila Prabhupada gave a chapter summary. So we will read the chapter summary and then we'll start our sloka. So Arindam and Rita, you can start with the summary of first, second, third, fourth paragraph, until fourth paragraphs. Produce that cosmic manifestations, and then Rachana Mata will read.
This is the chapter 5, the glories of Lord Nityānanda, Balarāma. You said first 4 paragraph, right? True?
Yeah.
Okay. This chapter is chiefly devoted to describing the essential nature and glories of Śrī Nityānanda Prabhu. Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa is the absolute personality of Godhead, and his first expansion in a form of pastime is Balarāma, Sri Balarāma. Beyond the limitation of this material world is the spiritual sky. Parambhum, which is Parambhum, which has many spiritual planets, the supreme of which is called Krishna Loka. Krishna Loka, the abode of Krishna, has 3 divisions, which are known as Dwarka, Mathura, and Gokula. In that abode, the personality of Godhead expands himself into 4 plenary portions: Krishna, Balarāma, Pradyumna, the transcendental Cupid, and Aniruddha. They are known as the original quadruple forms. In Krishna Loka is a transcendental place known as Shvetadip or Vrindavan. Below Krishna Loka, in the spiritual sky, are the Vaikuntha planets. On each Vaikuntha planet, a 4-handed Narayana expanded from the first quadruple manifestation is present. The personality of Godhead known as Sri Balaram in Krishna Loka is the original Sankarshan, attracting deity, and from this Sankarshan expands another Sankarshan called Mahasankarshan, who resides in one of the Vaikuntha planets. By his eternal potency, Mahasankarshan maintains the transcendental existence of all the planets in the spiritual sky, where all the living beings are eternally liberated souls. The influence of the material energy is conspicuous there by its absence. On those planets, the second quadruple manifestation is present. Okay.
Outside of the Vaikuntha planets is the impersonal manifestation of Sri Krishna, who is Brahmaloka. On the other side of Brahmaloka is the spiritual Karana Samudra or causal ocean. The material energy exists on the other side of the causal ocean without touching it. In the causal ocean is Mahavishnu, the original Purusha, expansion from Sankarshan. Mahavishnu places his glance over the material energy, and by a reflection of his transcendental body, he amalgamates himself within the material elements. Next one also.
Yeah.
As the source of the material elements, the material energy is known as pradhana, and as the source of the manifestation of the material energy, it is known as maya. But material nature is inert in that she has no independent power to do anything. She is empowered to make the cosmic manifestation by the glance of Mahavishnu. Therefore, the material energy is not the original cause of material manifestation. Rather, the transcendental glance of Mahavishnu over material nature produces that cosmic manifestation.
Thank you. Rachana Mata.
Yes, Prabhuji. Mahavishnu again enters every universe as the reservoir of all living entities, Garbhodakshay Vishnu. From Garbhodakshay Vishnu expands Kshirodakshay Vishnu, the super soul of every living entity. Garbhodakshay Vishnu also has his own Vaikuntha planet in every universe, where he lives as a super soul or supreme controller of the universe. Garbhodakshay Vishnu reclines in the midst of the watery portion of the universe and generates the first living creature of the universe, Brahma. The imaginary universal form is a partial expansion of Garbhodakshay Vishnu. On the Vaikuntha planet, in every universe is an ocean of milk, and within that ocean is an island called Shvetadweep, where Lord Vishnu lives. Therefore, this chapter describes two Shvetadweepas, one in the abode of Krishna and the other in the ocean of milk in every universe. The Shvetadweep in the abode of Krishna is identical with Vrindavan Dham, which is the place where Krishna appears himself to display his loving pastimes. In Shvetadipa, within every universe, is a Shesha form of Godhead who serves Vishnu by assuming the form of his umbrella, sleepers, coach, pillow, garments, residence, sacred thread, throne, and so on. Lord Baladev in Krishna Lok is Nityananda Prabhu. Therefore, Nityananda Prabhu is the original Shankarshana, and Mahashankarshana and his expansions are the Purushas in the universes are plenary expansions of Nityananda Prabhu. In this chapter, the author has described the history of his living home for the personal pilgrimage to Vrindavan and his achieving all success there. In this description, it is revealed that author's original parental home and the birthplace were in the district of Katwa, in the village of Jamatpur, which is near Naihati.
Yeah.
Naihati, Krishnadas Kaviraja's brother invited Sri Minaketana Ramadas.
Minketana Ramdas.
Sri Minketana Ramadas, a great devotee of Lord Nityānanda, to his home. But a priest named Gunarnaba Mishra did not receive him well. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami's brother, not recognizing the glories of Lord Nityānanda, also took sides with the priest. Therefore, Ramananda became sorry, broke his flute, and went away. This was a great disaster for the brother of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. But on that very night, Lord Nityānanda Prabhu himself graced Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in a dream and ordered him to leave on the next day for Vrindavan.
Jai. Thank you.
Krishna.
So this is the summary of this 5th chapter. So we'll enter to this summary because Prabhupada gave us very light summary. That's what's going to be we'll hear in this whole chapter. So on summary, we got many points on summary though. So on that summary, on those points, I think is like, we'll get lots of things to know about it. Bande Ananta Adbhutaishwaryam Śrī Nityānandamishwaram Jasvesvayaya Tatasha Rupa Jenapim Nirupate Bande Anantadbhutashwaryam Śrī Nityānandishwaram Jasvesvaya Tatasha Rupam Jnapi Nirupate. Divanand Prabhu, could you read the translation, please?
Hare Krishna. Sure, Prabhu. Let me offer my obeisances to Lord Śrī Nityānanda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose opulence is wonderful and unlimited. By his will, even a fool can understand his identity.
Yay. So as we hear, because every chapter when Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami start, so as we know, we pay obeisances to all the great Vaishnavas. And where is the person Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami? Excuse me. By his dream, he got see Lord Śrī Nityānanda Prabhu, and he came to Vrindavan. So now he got a chance to glorify Lord Nityānanda Prabhu. So he's going to glorify Lord Nityānanda Prabhu in various ways. So the very first thing is, he mentioned about how he was paying and remembering the obeisances by whose mercy he can do everything is fulfilled. Jayo Jayo Śrī Caitanya, Jayo Nityānanda, Jayo Advaita Chandra, Jayo Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. এই ছোট শ্লোকে কহিল চৈতন্য মহিমা, পঞ্চ শ্লোকে কহি নিত্যানন্দ তত্ত্ব সীমা. Kishori Mata, could you read the translation 2 and 3?
Sure, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. All glories to Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, all glories to Lord Nityānanda, all glories to Advaita Ācārya, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Caitanya Mahāprabhu. I have described the glory of Śrī Kṛṣṇa Caitanya in 6 verses. Now, in 5 verses, I shall describe the glory of Lord Nityānanda. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So, this is just for instructions. As he mentioned, before we hear about Lord Chaitanya's glorification, that was the Chaitanya's Tattva are. And now he will give the Nityananda's Mahima, including the Nityananda Tattva, with the 5 verses. So let's enter to those verses. So the 5 verses will be not going to become immediately. It will become a little later. So verses 4, 5, 6. This is the actually 3 verses are giving is like, before we give the descriptions, normally we give some summaries. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami also did same things. Before he glorified Lord Nityānanda Prabhu, is giving summary on these 3 verses. And then he will bring the ultimate verses of Lord Nityananda's Mahima. And then from that verses, he will describe, giving the descriptions of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. Okay. Sarvabhatari Krishna Swayam Bhagavan Taharo Ditiya Deho Shri Balarāma. Sarvo Avatari Krishna Swayam Bhagavan Tahar Ditiya Deho Shri Balarāma. Rachana Mata, translation please.
Yes, Prabhuji. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the fountainhead of all the incarnations. Lord Brahma is his second body. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa, the absolute personality of Godhead, the primal Lord, the original form of Godhead, and his first expansion is Sri Balarāma. The personality of Godhead can expand himself in innumerable forms. The forms that have unlimited potencies are called Swayamsa, and the forms that have limited potencies, the living entities, are called Vibhin Amsa.
Okay. So this sloka, I think, is like Krishna Goswami in translation. He make completely details, and also Srila Prabhupada gave even more details about Shangsha and Vibhinnangsha. Shangsha is a Sha Amsa. Vibhinnamsa meaning is his amshas. It's like part, then part, then part, then part, then part, then part. So that's called the Vibhinnamsha. And that's why it's like, as a human being, we are the Vibhinnamsha, is the jivas, the Vibhinnamshas of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is a verses from Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Might be Divanand Prabhu remember?
Which one, Prabhuji?
The slokas are mentioning Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta, Sanatana.
Yeah, Vammai Vansho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana.
Mamai Vamsa Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta, Sanatana was the next line.
Mammai Vansho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Manashashtani Indriyani Prakriti
Sthani Kashvati.
Yeah.
Right. So on that verse we can hear it. Mamai Vamsa Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. So that is, in these jivas, in these lokas, they are a Vibhinnangsha in Sanatan. Sanatan means is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's over here they are mentioning about how that the Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that Krishna's second form is Lord Balarāma. Eki Swarupe Dohe Bhinno Matrakai Addokayo Boho Krishna Lilaro Sahai. Eki Swarup Dohe Bhinno Matrakai Addokayo Boho Krishna Lilaro Sahai. Rita, could you read the translation, please?
Yes, Prabhu. These two are one and the same identity. They differ only in form. Lord Balaram is the first bodily expansion of Krishna, and he assists in Lord Krishna's transcendental pastimes. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Balaram is a Shamasta expansion of the Lord, Shamsha. And therefore there is no difference in potency between Krishna and Balaram. The only difference is in their bodily structure. As the first expansion of Godhead, Balaram is the chief deity among the first quadruple form, and he is the foremost assistant of Śrī Kṛṣṇa in his transcendental activities.
Okay. So it's very good things are mentioning over here, Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, where he mentioning that a same identity one and same identity. একই স্বরূপ দহে, ভিন্ন মাত্র কায়. The difference is there are actually two bodily comparison. One is Krishna, one body, and Nityananda Prabhu is the other one. So, Srila Prabhupada are giving very nicely on the purport. He is mentioning that in power, there is no difference with Krishna and Balarāma. Only the difference is their bodily structures. We can see Lord Balarāma, when Lord Balarāma appeared in these earthly planets to help Lord Krishna's pastimes. Help Lord Krishna's pastimes. Always, Balarāma want to serve Krishna in a various way. That will become on this chapter. So, since from we can see, on this earthly planet when Balarāma did pastime with Lord Krishna in his childhood time, also he had that, that power that he always mentioned Krishna, don't worry, I am with you. Don't worry, I am with you. I am going to protect you. And that's the way the Balarāma always is like, mention Krishna. That's I'm going to protect you. Don't worry, I'm here. So Krishna knows Balarāma can do that because Balarāma is just an expansion of Lord Krishna, just a second body. So how much power Krishna has is the same power Lord Balarāma has. So that's why he's mentioning they came with a two form ultimately for transcendental pastime. Some places, if there is there is no two bodies, he couldn't get that rasha, he couldn't get the taste. That's why Lord Krishna, first expansion he did, it's Lord Balarāma. Even if you go, Srimati Radharani, Krishna create Srimati Radharani, manifest Srimati Radharani. Also later on, the Balarāma is the very super first expansion. Even Radharani also is not there yet when Lord Krishna expand Balarāma. Okay. Śrī Kṛṣṇa Navadvipe Chaitanya Chandra Śrī Balarāma Sange Nityānanda Śrī Kṛṣṇa Navadvipe Śrī Caitanya Chandra Śrī Balarāma Sange Nityānanda. Ishwari Mata, translation please.
Sure, Prabhu. Next page.
Number 6.
Yeah, Prabhu. Translation. That original Lord Krishna appeared in Navadvip as Lord Chaitanya and Balarāma appeared with him as Lord Nityānanda.
Okay. So he mentioned in a 3, first of all, he gave the 3 clues, and those clues are very external clue. It's not a internal, not a philosophical clue. First, he mentioned about the second expansion of Lord Krishna, and second, he explained about they are ultimately a single body, single personalities, but a 2 different body. And third is saying, that's the person. Krishna and Balaram, that's the person. In this age of Kali, one is Chaitanya Chandra, one is Nityananda. So now he's bringing back the sloka from our Adi Lila first chapter. Which one is verse number 6, I think. Yeah, 7. Verse number 7 in Adi Lila. Which one over here also, number 7. Shankarashana Karanatoshayi Garbho Doshayi Chapayabdhishayi Sheshwang Shajashwang Shakala Shanityam Nityanandakshvaramam Sharanam Mamastu Shankarashanam Karanatoshayi Garbho Doshayi Chapayabdhishayi Sheshashajashang Shvakala Shanityanandakshvaramam Sharanam Mamastu. Divanand Prabhu, translation and purport.
Sure, Prabhuji. May Śrī Nityānanda Ram be the object of my constant remembrance. Sankarshan, Sheshanag, and the Vishnus who lie on the Karna ocean, Garbha ocean, and the ocean of milk are his plenary portions and the portions of his plenary portions. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Swarup Damodar Goswami has recorded this verse in his diary to offer his respectful obeisances to Lord Nityananda Prabhu. This verse also appears as the 7th of the first 14 verses of Śrī Caitanya Charitamrita.
Okay, so remember this verse. We know, we pay obeisances to Chaitanya Mahāprabhu. Namo Mahavadannaya Krishna Prema Palayate Krishnaya Krishna Caitanya Namne Gauratishe Namaha. We pay obeisances to Panchatattva. But many devotees, if you ask, what is the pranam mantra of Lord Nityananda? They don't know. So this is the pranam mantra of Lord Nityananda. You might be see is like, whenever I do chant, Mangalacharan, I always chant this verse. Whenever I do ritual, fire sacrifice, I always chant this verse. So do this verse when you pay obeisances to Gaura Nitai. Normally as I mentioned, when we pay obeisances, so that time you have to chant the pranam mantra. When we're offering obeisances to Prabhupada, you have to make sure by paying obeisances to Srila Prabhupada, you have to chant his pranam mantra. Not is like just enter, just bow down and come out. It should not be done like that. And at the same times, when you're paying to Gaura Nitai, you have to have the pranam mantra. So we do either we do Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Sharupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktaksham Nomi Bhaktashaktikam, or we do Namo Mahavadannaya Krishna Prema Palayati Krishnaya Krishna Caitanya Namne Gauratishe. The Nityananda Prabhu normally we always follow it. So that's why memorize this verse. Shankarshanam Karanatoshaye Garbho Doshaye Chapayabdhishaye Sheshvashvajashvang Shakala Shanityam Nandakshvara Mahasharanam Mamastu. So remember this verse, and when you go to the temple, pay obeisances to Lord Nityananda Prabhu with this verse. So Srila Swarup Damodar Goswami, he actually wrote this verse. How? He wrote this verse according to the details are providing in the Shastras. That's Nityananda Prabhu's Shankarshanam Karanotoshayi Garbhodoshayi cha Payabdhishayi. So over here is a mentioning from whom, right? The Shankarshan, Karanotoshayi Vishnu, Garbhodoshayi Vishnu, and Kshirodokoshayi Vishnu, Sheshnags, all are from which amsa. So that is Sheshvashva also, Jashvangsha Kala. Jashva Angsha Kala. So this all the avatars, all that's like a Vishnu Tattvas are ultimately a Kala of Lord Balarāma. So ultimately, he is mentioning, may Śrī Nityānanda Ram be object of my constant remembrance. Thus the Balarāma came as form of Lord Nityānanda. So that's the Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami. That's why he quoted this verse to giving a Balarāma Pranam mantras along with Nityananda Prabhu's Pranam mantras. And who is Nityananda? They bring it that. Sri Balaram Gosai Mula Shankarshan Pancharupa Dhori Karen Krishna Sevan. The Lord Balaram is the original Shankarshan. He assumed 5 other forms to serve Lord Krishna. I have to have a note. What's Lord Nityananda Prabhu? Balaram is ultimately take 5 other forms. Pancharupe, 5 forms. What is those 5 forms? We're going to be listen that 5 forms about his serve. Okay? Aponi koreno Krishna lilar sahai Srishti Kājya kore dhori charikai Srishtade ko sevatar aggaro palan শেষ রূপে করে কৃষ্ণের বিবিধ সেবন. Parthajidda, could you read the translation, please? If you are there. Okay, we will come back to him. And Arindam, could you read the translation, please?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Translation. Lord Balaram is the original Shankarshan. He assumes 5 other forms to serve Lord Krishna.
Then next, 9 and 10.
Oh, both 9 and 10. Okay. Text 9. Translation. He himself helps in the pastimes of Lord Krishna, and he does the work of creation in 4 other forms. Verse 10. Translation. He executes the orders of Lord Krishna in the work of creation, and in the form of Lord Shesha, he serves Krishna in various ways. Purport. According to the expert opinion, Balaram, as the chief of the original quadruple forms, is also the original Shankarshan. Balaram, the first expansion of Krishna, expand himself in 5 forms. 1. Mahashankarshan. 2. Karanabshai. 3. Garbhodakshai. 4. Kshirodakshai. And 5. Shesha. These 5 plenary portions are responsible for both the spiritual and material cosmic manifestations. In these 5 forms, Lord Balaram assists Lord Krishna in his activities. The first 4 of these forms are responsible for the cosmic manifestation, whereas Shesha is responsible for personal service to the Lord. Shesha is called Ananta or unlimited because he assists the personality of Godhead in his unlimited expansions by performing an unlimited variety of service. Sri Balaram is the servitor Godhead who serves Lord Krishna in all affairs of existence and knowledge. Lord Nityānanda Prabhu, who is the same servitor Godhead, Balaram, performs the same service to Lord Gauranga by constant association.
Yeah. Beautiful, no? So we got the five rupas, the five way, right? Five varieties of way he served to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Pancharupa dhori kare Krishnero Shevan. Pancharup, that's 5 groups. We got it over here. Srila Prabhupada gave very clearance that Mahashankarshan, Karandakashai Vishnu, Garbhodakashai Vishnu, Kirodakashai Vishnu, and Sheshanag. Mahashankarshan, Karandakashai Vishnu, Garbhodakashai Vishnu, Kirodakashai Vishnu, and Shesha. And we all know the Sheshanag, what the Sheshanag normally do. The Sheshanag, not only he was serving to Lord Krishna, he actually serving Lord Krishna by how? By holding this universe on his head. Right? This complete universe or place on Sheshanag's head. So as mentioning, this complete universe are holding a Sheshanag, and he don't feel happy at all. He just feel a small mustard seeds he keeping on his head. As like, you know, as human being, we are human being, we are how much powerful are. If we got a small mustard seeds, what do we going to be able to feel anything? Nothing. But what talking about the Balarāma? A Sheshanag, a expansion of him. So that is like, you know, nothing. Ultimately, there is nothing, you know, no happiness or anything. So that's why the Shankarshans are holding this world, this, you know, universe, his hand, his head, and serving to Lord Krishna. And then we know Karanadakashai Vishnu, Garbhodakashai Vishnu, Kirodakashai Vishnu. These all three Vishnus are ultimately create for this material world. As Srila Prabhupada are mentioning over here, that the Godhead, Supreme Person, assist the personality of Godhead on his unlimited expansion by performing an unlimited variety of service. Various way he serve to Lord Krishna. You know? Anything, any questions on this matter?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I have a question, Prabhu.
Yes, Patrajita.
Do you hear me, Prabhu?
Yes, I can hear you.
So, Mahashankarshan. So, is this the expansion of the Shankarshan? Or that's the same, the Shankarshan and Mahashankarshan same?
Okay, as over here is mentioning that Pancharupe Koren, Krishna Shevan, this is the 5 rupas are mentioning. These 5 rupas are not himself. This Mahashankarshan are the first Prakash of Lord Balarāma.
Balarāma is the original Shankarshan.
Balarāma is the original Shankarshan. And then Mahashankarshan, that is actually a Chaturbhuha's first Shankarshan.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
In Chaturbhuha, we have a Shankarshan, Vasudev, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. So that's the first Chaturbhuha is a Shankarshan. That is a Mahashankarshan, the expansion of Balarāma. Because from that Shankarshan, that Mahashankarshan, then is like Karnadakashai Vishnu, Garbhodakashai Vishnu, Kirodakashai Vishnu came.
Thank you, Prabhu.
So Prabhu, that's not, it's not Mahavishnu. Or
No,
is
no.
Mahashankarshan is not Mahavishnu.
Yeah. Mahashankarshan is not a Mahavishnu.
So, but then Mahavishnu is the one that produces Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Mahavishnu produces Garbhodakshaya, Garbhodakshaya produces Hirodakshaya. Or Mahavishnu is actually Karnodakshaya Vishnu.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So then Mahasankarshan produces Mahavishnu.
Right.
That's Karnodakshaya Vishnu. Karnodakshaya Vishnu produces Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu produces Shirodakshaya Vishnu.
Right.
Okay.
Now you got it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, that one also will come next chapter, Advaita Tattva. Thank you. সর্বরূপে আস্বাদয়ে কৃষ্ণ সেবানন্দ সেই বলরাম গৌর সঙ্গে নিত্যানন্দ। সপ্তম শ্লোকের অর্থ পরিচারি শ্লোকে যাতে নিত্যানন্দ তত্ত্ব জানে সর্বলোকে। Okay, translation. Kishori Mata, translation.
So, Prabhuji, in all the forms, he tastes the transcendental bliss of serving Krishna. That same Balarāma is Lord Nityānanda, the companion of Lord Gaura Sundar. I have explained the 7th verse in 4 subsequent verses. By these verses, all the world can know the truth about Lord Nityānanda. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So on this chapter, very beginning, we got the informations about Balarāma or Lord Nityānanda, how he served to Lord Krishna. Right? First we got, he is the second body of Lord Krishna, but ultimately they are both are the same, both powerful. And then we got the informations about the Balarāma served to Lord Krishna with a 5 variety way, Pancharupas. Now that the Balarāma came as Lord Nityānanda. So authors want to give even more details who is Lord Nityānanda. So now he will give the details. Next 4 verses are the details we will get. Mayatite vapi vaikuntha loke purneshwarye Śrī Caturabhuha madhe rupam jasvad bhati shankarshanakshvam tam Śrī Nityānanda ramam prapadde. Mayatite vapi vaikuntha loke purneshwarye Śrī Caturabhuha madhe rupam jasvad bhati shankarshanakshvam tam Śrī Nityānanda ramam prapadde. Okay, Rachana Mata, translation.
Yes, Prabhupada. Translation. I surrender unto the lotus feet of Śrī Nityānanda Ram, who is known as Sankarshan in the midst of Chaturbhyuh, consisting of Vasudev, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. He possesses full opulences and resides in Vaikuntha, far beyond the material creation. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. This is a verse from Sri Swarup Damodar Goswami's diary. It appears as the 8th of the first 14 verses of Śrī Caitanya Charitamrita.
So this is also Swarup Damodar's was returning. So we have so many pranam mantras. As we know, Lord Krishna's have many pranam mantras. So Balarāma also have not only one pranam mantras, he also have many pranam mantras. Nityānanda Prabhu also have many pranam mantras. So this is also another one pranam mantras of Lord Nityānanda Prabhu. So that's the another one. We can see here that is ultimately the Swarup Damodar, and he have a diary that's called Swarup Damodar's Korcha. Korcha. So he wrote on this all the pranam mantras. So next, first he paid the obeisances. Again, the beginning of giving the 4 verses. Then we're getting the ultimate 4th sloka from 14. Prakitera parapara bom namedham Krishna vigraha jaise vihutvadi gunavan Prakitera parapara brom namedham Krishna vigraha jaise vibhutvadi gunavan. Prathajitta, could you read the translation, please?
Sure, Prabhu. Beyond the material nature lies the realm known as Parabhoma, the spiritual sky. Like Lord Krishna himself, it possesses all transcendental attributes, such as the 6 opulences.
Okay, and next 2 paragraph of purport also.
Sure, Prabhu. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki joy. According to Sankhya philosophy, the material cosmos is composed of 24 elements. The 5 gross material elements, the 3 subtle material elements, the 5 knowledge acquiring senses, active senses, the 5 objects of sense pleasure, and the Mahatattva, the total material energy. Empiric philosophers unable to go beyond these elements speculate that anything beyond them must be obhyakta or inexplicable. But the world beyond the 24 elements is not inexplicable, for it is explained in the Bhagavad Gita as the eternal, Sanatana nature. Beyond the manifested and unmanifested existence of material nature, Vyakta is the Sanatana nature, which is called the Parabhoma or the spiritual sky. Since that nature is spiritual in quality, there are no qualitative differences there. Everything there is spiritual, everything is good, and everything possesses the spiritual form of Śrī Kṛṣṇa himself. That spiritual sky is the manifested internal potency of Śrī Kṛṣṇa. It is distinct from the material sky, the manifested by his external potency. The all-pervading Brahman, composed of impersonal glowing rays of Śrī Kṛṣṇa, exists in the spiritual world with the Vaikuntha planets. We can get some idea of the spiritual sky by a comparison to the material sky. For the rays of the sun in the material sky can be compared to the Brahma Jyoti, the glowing rays of the personality of Godhead. In the Brahma Jyoti, there are unlimited Vaikuntha planets, which are spiritual and therefore self-luminous, with a glow many times greater than that of the sun. The personality of Godhead Śrī Kṛṣṇa, his innumerable plenary portions and the portions of his plenary portions dominate each Vaikuntha planet. In the highest region of the spiritual sky is the planet called Krishna Loka, which has 3 divisions, namely Dwaraka, Mathura, and Goloka or Kukula.
Jai. Thank you. Divanand Prabhu, please read from there to a gross.
Sure, Prabhu. To a gross materialist, this kingdom of God, Vaikuntha, is certainly a mystery. But to an ignorant man, everything is a mystery for want of sufficient knowledge. The kingdom of God is not a myth. Even the material planets which float over our heads in the millions and billions are still a mystery to the ignorant. Material scientists are now attempting to penetrate this mystery, and a day may come when the people of this earth will be able to travel in outer space and see the variegatedness of these millions of planets with their own eyes. In every planet, there is as much material variegatedness as we find in our own planet. This planet Earth is but an insignificant spot in the cosmic structure. Yet foolish men, puffed up by a false sense of scientific advancement, have concentrated their energy in the pursuit of so-called economic development on this planet, not knowing of the variegated economic facilities available on other planets. According to modern astronomy, the gravity of the moon is different from that of Earth. Therefore, one who goes to the moon will be able to pick up large weights and jump vast distances. In the Ramayana, Hanuman is described as being able to lift huge weights as heavy as hills and jump over the ocean. Modern astronomy has confirmed that this is indeed possible. Should I continue?
Yes, please.
The disease of the modern civilized man in his disbelief of everything in the revealed scriptures. Faithless non-believers cannot make progress in spiritual realization, for they cannot understand the spiritual potency. The small fruit of a banyan contains hundreds of seeds, and each seed is the potency to produce another banyan tree with the potency to produce millions more of such fruits. This law of nature is visible before us, although how it works is beyond our understanding. This is but an insignificant example of the potency of Godhead. There are many similar phenomena that no scientist can explain.
Jai. And Kishori Mata can read next two paragraph.
Sure, Prabhu. Everything, in fact, is inconceivable, for the truth is revealed only to the proper persons. Although there are varieties of personalities, from Brahma down to the insignificant ant, all of whom are living beings, their development of knowledge is different. Therefore, we have to gather knowledge from the right source. Indeed, in reality, we can get knowledge only from the Vedic sources. The four Vedas, with their supplementary Puranas, the Mahabharata, the Ramayana, and their corollaries, which are known as Smritis, are all authorized sources of knowledge. If we are at all to gather knowledge, we must gather it from these sources without hesitation. Continue, Prabhu.
Yes, yes, Mata.
Revealed knowledge may in the beginning be unbelievable because of our paradoxical desire to verify everything with our tiny brains. But the speculative means of attaining knowledge is always imperfect. The perfect knowledge propounded in the revealed scriptures is confirmed by the great acharyas who have left ample commentations upon them. None of these acharyas has disbelieved in the Shastras. One who disbelieves in the Shastras is an atheist, and we should not consult an atheist, however great he may be. A staunch believer in the Shastras with all their diversities is the right person from whom to gather real knowledge. Such knowledge may seem inconceivable in the beginning, but when put forward by the proper authority, its meaning is revealed, and then one no longer has any doubts about it. Hare Krishna.
I think we also don't have any doubt about it.
Yes.
Right? Yes, Prabhupada gave completely clear idea about where is Parabrahm. And is really, there is some, that's name, such kind of things are there. And also sometimes he gave them more details about nowadays so-called scholar. That so-called scholar, what normally they do. And also how nicely Srila Prabhupada gave explanations. That power of the Lords can do anything. As a giving an example, a one tree. And the tree seeds. Did anybody notice it? What tree Prabhupada mentioned?
Banyan tree.
Banyan tree. Did you see about the banyan tree fruits? Banyan fruits? Did anybody see the banyan fruits? No, right? The banyan tree fruits are such a small, it's like we have even a smaller than a raisins. Is a golden raisins come? Smaller than a raisins. A little bit of roundy, but is not a berry type also, because it have a little long shape with a round. very small. If you open, because we remember our childhood, where is like our school is, elementary school, a huge banyan tree, huge banyan tree. And during this summer time, normally people go and come and sit down under the tree to get some shade. And when rainy time start, then that actually fruit got, down from the tree. Plenty of fruits. It's not a fruit, actually, it's a flower. And then the flowers and then become a fruits, And then when you take that fruits, it's just a tiny bit of fruits. Hundreds of seed there. And the size of the seeds, did you even see the poppy seeds? Is more smaller than a poppy seeds. And who have the technology, keeping such a huge tree on the such tiny seeds? Isn't it? That such a tiny seeds have the huge tree inside. So Srila Prabhupada gave that example about a banyan tree. And that's only Chaitanya Mahāprabhu also mentioned. We were going to be hear it. Mahaprabhu gave an example of the banyan tree. When one of the devotees was asking to Chaitanya Mahāprabhu to deliver on this fallen soul, Mahaprabhu said, okay, in a banyan tree, there's a lot of fruits fall down and wasted. Banyan tree never minded. And that's why there is an Anantati Brahmandas there. If one Brahmandas need to be delivered, I hope Krishna will not mind it at all. So that's the things we have to be understood about Parabrahm, where the Parabrahm are. And obviously, we can't try to find out with our material knowledge. Because material knowledge really don't have any explanation about it. That's what Srila Prabhupada said. Those are the people for the Shanta philosophy. They don't have any philosophy for this Param Brahma. But it is truth. There is a Param Brahma there. Yeah, Rachana Mata. Can't hear you.
Oh, yes. So
Yeah.
I wanted to add something. In Srimad Bhagavatam, there is one shloka in the chapter Creation, where it says that from Vishnu's body, many planets comes out, and every second, many planets are dying. And believe it or not, this is now proved. So there is a telescope called Hubble telescope. It is the most advanced telescope in the world. And I was happened to visit Kennedy Space Station in Florida. And there I saw a movie, IMAX movie on Hubble telescope. And that telescope is still up in the universe, in our Prithvi Loka, and it is showing that many planets emerges and many planets they die. Now it is showing.
Right.
But again, it is, and in I'm not sure if you ever visited this Smithsonian Aviation Center. There they have a planetarium, and they show the universe movie. And in that movie, they mention they know the material loka less than 2%. And in that 2% also, now they are able to see many planets can emerge, and many planets are can destroyed in a second. And that is happening in the material world itself, for 2% of material world. So I mean, I strongly encourage everybody, don't try to understand our Shastra with the eyes of science. read this and then read science, then it will help you. Many people, I have many friends, they wanted to understand God through science. And I always say, you know, you are taking a hard path. Read Shastra and go into science. Then that will make sense. Anyway, so yeah, I encourage everybody, just read, even if you don't understand.
Thank you. Thank you. Divanand, you want to add anything?
No, just on the same lines as Mataji was saying, there's a movie or documentary called God Particle. I think it's free. I think it's even on YouTube if you want to watch it. They said if they're going to find, there was a specific number that they were looking for. So if that number if it's higher than that number, that means there's only one universe. If it's lower than that universe or equal to that, then there are multiple universes. So they did full experiment to get that number, and that number was in the middle. So that showed that there are multiple universes. They don't have any way to find out what those universes are. They have no way to really figure out the dimensions or anything like that, but only they figured out that yes, there are multiple universes. So yeah, it's a good movie, and they called it God Particle. So
God Particle.
God Particle. Yeah.
Okay.
And you'll see that movie explains the full experiment they did to come up with that. And at the end, they say, oh yeah, there are multiple universes. There cannot be one.
Srila Prabhupada Dasi used to say that, he used to say those scientists are saying the foolish. Because there is one scientist in Bengal who research on tree. Arindam, tumi jano tar naam is Jagadish Chandra?
Prabhu, Jagadish Chandra Bose.
Jagadish Chandra Bose. The Jagadish Chandra Bose who was actually research on it and said, this tree also have a soul. Tree also have a consciousness. Prabhupada said, you are fool. Why you burn millions of dollars to bring that proof that tree have a soul? Just simply accept the Shastras. Simply accept the Shastras, and Shastras giving the details already. That tree also have a consciousness. Tree have consciousness, a tree have the soul. Why you are burning at millions of dollars? A fool. Just simply accept what our Shastra said. That's the thing, sir. So Shastras already is mentioned, how Lord Vishnu's, he's just taking, dipping in the water, and how his bubbles, every breath, the bubbles are creating, bubbles are becoming universe. Many bubbles are popping up. So many universes are just destroying and many universes are coming. Just take it, just read it, accept it. And then you go and, as Prabhuji said, there is, the science also did a lot of research, and then they make documentaries that yes, it is there. After using a lot of energies, obviously a lot of finance, many things, and they said yes, no, that's true, 100%.
Just one thing I actually realized, and also it's a scientific proven that the Einstein and his Big Bang theories and the origin of the universe. When I was reading that book in 2012, so it says the time is actually relative according to the gravity. And they are mentioning at the center of the universe, like this universe, whatever they have seen, it has an infinite weight. So the time is slow there. So if we think that just simply from our Bhagavad Gita, that Brahma is at the center of the universe, so it makes sense that the time for Brahma and for us are relative, and we are moving fast, and like our time is so small. And at the center of the universe, just our universe, this Chaturmukh Brahma has so long life. And also in the biology, because this is physics. Physics is sometimes they explain in various particle energies and everything, but biology is very difficult to explain with those. Even biology, they says like living entities in these relative times, if the same living entity is in on earth, his biological process will be faster. Rather, if it goes to the center of the universe, the time relativity will slow down its biological process and it will live longer. So at that time, I was nowhere close to right now I am with Bhakti. But at that time, it was very clear that, okay, Bhagavad Gita says that the Brahma lives for longer. Like, we cannot even imagine that number. But we, according to that position of the relativity of the time and the position, we live how little. So it was all written previously. No need for to be an Einstein.
Right. True, true.
So one question, Prabhu. Here it's written that Srila Prabhupada says Krishna Loka has 3 divisions, namely Dwarka, Mathura, and Golok or Gokul. So what about the division of having Navdvip? Because there is also Navdvip in Krishna Loka. So where are the details given about that? And this is maybe out of context of what we are reading, but I was just wondering where there is more explanation. Is it in Chaitanya Charitamrita?
I think I hear from Srila Prabhupada about, I think in Srimad Bhagavatam purport, Srila Prabhupada are giving the details. It's saying that Goloka Vrindavan, that Golokas is actually a lotus flower. And Goloka, in the central point, in the middle is a Goloka Vrindavan. And every petal is one of the lokas. So it's mentioned there is a loka of Navadvip, there is a loka of Ayodhya, there is a loka of Dwarika, there is a loka even on Tirupati. It's Balaji's loka. And also there is a loka of Badri Vishal. So those are there. So because of this contest are coming with them Punna Brahma, and about a Parabram Dham. So that's might be Srila Prabhupada are giving some over here. But he explained already. And also at the same time he's mentioned the Navadvip is ultimately is not only a part of a Ayodhya or Dwarika or other dham. Navadvip in Goloka, inside of the Golokas, as we know in Vrindavan, we call Madhurya Dham, and Navadvip we call Odarya Dham. So saying in Goloka, in there is Madhurya and Odarya are connecting together. That's the explanations we got from Srimad Bhagavatam. I don't remember the chapter, but I hope we're going to get more details on Chaitanya Charitamrita also in purport somewhere.
Thank you, Bro.
There. Okay, so we'll go to verse 15. Sarvagga Ananta Vibhu Vaikunthadidham Krishna Krishna Avatarer Tahai Vishram Taharayu Parabhage Krishna Loko Khati Daruka Mathura Gokul Trivadette Sthiti. Okay, translation. Advaita Hariprabhu, are you have a books with you? Could you read the translation?
Yes, probably it is on the internet, so I'm using the internet.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So text 15 and 16, 5th chapter.
Okay, sure. Sarvaga Ananta Vibhu Vaikunthadidham Krishna Krishna Avatarer Tahai Vishram. That Vaikuntha region is all pervading, infinite, and supreme. It is the residence of Lord Krishna and his incarnations. Tahara upor bhage Krishna lokokhyati Dwaraka Mathura Gokul Trividhatte sthiti. In the highest region of that spiritual sky is the spiritual planet called Krishna Loka. It has three divisions: Dwaraka, Mathura, and Gokula.
Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami bring that as Srila Prabhupada's mentioned over there. In Krishna Loka's Trividha. So now the concern came about what is in Navadvip and others. See, that details are coming in the next verses. No, the Gokuls itself have so many days in a Gokul, in the middle of that lotus flower. Sarvapari Shri Gokul, Braja Lokadham, Shri Golok Shetaddi, Brindavanam. Sarvoggo Ananta Vibhu Krishna Tanu Shamo Upajadhva Vyapi Ache Nahikoni Yama. Rachana Mata, translation please. Excuse me.
Okay, Prabhuji. I'm going, Prabhuji. I have to go through my phone.
Oh, okay.
My laptop's phone internet got disconnected. Yeah, I'm going there. 14 and 17 and 18, right?
Right.
Yeah. 17 translation. Shri Golok, the highest of all, is also called Braj, Golok, Shweta Dvipa, and Vrindavan.
Sure.
Translation 18. Like the transcendental body of Lord Krishna, Goloka is all pervading, infinite, supreme. It expands both above and below without any restriction. Prabhuji, you want me to read purport?
Yeah, first paragraph.
Srila Jiva Goswami, the great authority and philosopher in the line of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, has discussed the abode of Krishna in his Krishna Sandarbha. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord refers to my abode. Srila Jiva Goswami, examining the nature of Krishna's abode, refers to the Sankad Puran, which states, Ya Yatha Skanda Puran, which states, Ya Yatha Bhuvi Vartante Puryo Bhagavataha Priyaha Tas Tatha Shanti Vaikunthe Tat Talilartham Adratha.
Tattalilartham Adritaha.
Tat Lila Amre Lila
Artham Adritaha.
Adritaha. Okay. The abodes of Godhead in the material world, such as Dwarka, Mathura, Golok, are facsimiles, representing the abodes of Godhead in the kingdom of God. Vaikuntha Dham. The unlimited spiritual atmosphere of that Vaikuntha Dham is far above and beyond the material cosmos. This is confirmed in the Swayambhu Tantra, in a discussion between Lord Shiv and Parvati regarding the effect of chanting the mantra of 14 syllables. There it is stated. Prabhuji, do you want me to continue?
Okay, I will just chant that verses. You can tell the translation, and then someone else will do. Okay. Nana kalpa lata kiranam vaikuntham vyapakam smareta adha samyam gunanam cha prakritihi sarvakaranam. Nana kalpa lata kiranam vaikuntham vapakam smaret adho samyam gunanam cha prakritihi sarvakaranam. Translation.
While chanting the mantra, one should always remember the spiritual world, which is very extensive and full of desire trees that can yield anything one desires. Below that, Vaikuntha region is the potential material energy, which causes the material manifestation. The places of the pastime of Lord Krishna, such as Dwarka, Mathura, Vrindavan, eternally and independently exist in Krishna Lok. They are the actual abodes of Lord Krishna, and there is no doubt that they are situated above the material cosmic manifestation.
Okay, thank you. Achari Mata, the abode known.
The abode known as Vrindavan or Gokula is also known as Goloka. The Brahma Samhita states that Gokul, the highest region of the kingdom of God, resembles a lotus flower with thousands of petals. The outer portion of that lotus-like planet is a square place known as Shvetadvip. In the inner portion of Gokul, there is an elaborate arrangement for Śrī Kṛṣṇa's residence with his eternal associates such as Nanda and Yashoda. That transcendental abode exists by the energy of Śrī Baladeva, who is the original whole of Shesha or Ananta. The tantras also confirm this description by stating that the abode of Sri Anantadev, a plenary portion of Baladev, is called the kingdom of God. Vrindavan Dham is the innermost abode within the quadrangular realm of Shvetadvip, outside of the boundary of Gokul Vrindavan.
Okay, Dibnantu, next.
According to Jiva Goswami, Vaikuntha is also called Brahmaloka. The Narad Pancharatra, in a statement concerning the mystery of Vijaya, describes Tat sarvo pari goloke tatra loko pari swayam viharet parmanandi govindo tula nyakyaha. The predominator of the gopis, Govinda, the principal deity of Gokul, always enjoys himself in a place called Goloka, in the topmost part of spiritual sky. From the authoritative evidence cited by Jiva Goswami, we may conclude that Krishna Loka is the supreme planet in the spiritual sky, which is far beyond the material cosmos. For the enjoyment of transcendental variety, the pastimes of Krishna, there have three divisions, and these pastimes are performed in the three abodes, Dwarka, Mathura, and Gokul. When Krishna descends to this universe, he enjoys the pastimes in places of the same name. These places on earth are non-different from those original abodes, for they are facsimiles of those original holy places in the transcendental world. They are as good as Śrī Kṛṣṇa himself and are equally worshipable. Lord Chaitanya declared that Lord Kṛṣṇa, who presents himself as the son of King Raja, is worshipable, and that Vrindavan Dham is equally worshipable. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Jai, thank you. So I think we got all details over here. That's all the lokas details, and specifically on that Krishna lokas, Goloka, Dwarika, and Mathura. So Srila Prabhupada gives us very nicely details with a example from the Puranas, from the Tantras, all the details are there. So as we just talked in the previous time, Navadvips and others, so that's also we got the details. The Goloka also is a Kalpavriksha, Kalpaloka. It could be expanded as big as need. It could be a excuses, quizzed together. In the Pramanas, as mentioned, the Golokas, Vrindavan, and this material Vrindavan also is not different. In a Krishna Leela, we can see the gopis, they used to go and bring a flower, fresh flower from the flower tree and make a nice garland and offer to Lord Krishna. Even before Lord Krishna wake up, they went before that, bring the flower, make the garland. Garland is ready. When Krishna will wake up, come outside from his room, they will offer that flower garland to him. And could you imagine, in Vrindavan, every place is that time Krishna have a different place for different flowers. You cannot get all the flower in one place. You have to travel. You need to pick a lotus flower. You have to go to the lotus garden. You need a champa flower. You have to go to the champak garden. And in Vrindavan, ultimately there is no champa flower at all. And champa flower is one of the Krishna's favorite flower. Because I don't know how many of you see the champak flower. Champa flower, it's called golden champak. That flower color is like a gold and very nice. If you keep one flower in your room, you will get the fragrance next 7 days. Next 7 days. Even that flower got dry, from the dry flower also you will get fragrance. How fragrance it is, so beautiful and so, I can't even explain, because many things you can explain as like a sweet. How are you going to be eat? You cannot explain how it is.
It's only in Bengal, right, Prabhuji?
Champa flower only in Bengal, right?
Yeah.
Yes. That's why the gopis used to go to collect the champa flower in a champa hati. Champa hati. Champa is a flower name, hati is a market. Champak flower market. Because those area, that time in Krishna's time, a plenty of champak flower, the whole area is full of the champak flower. And it is mentioned that every day the gopis used to come there, pick flower, and go back to Vrindavan. That time, though, there is not a private jet. There is not a rocket train. Or there is no any other transportation who could bring you from Vrindavan to Bengal, and specifically all the way to east side of the Bengal within few minutes, and bring you back to Vrindavan within few minutes, and then you prepare the garlands. So over here is mentioning that Vrindavan is a kalpadham. When is needed, is expend, and quizzes also. So when gopis come to pick the flower, that time the dham expended or quizzes. Rachana Mata?
Prabhuji, what was the question?
The question is when the gopis go and pick the flower from the garden, that time the dham, Vrindavan dham, was expanding it or quizzing it?
Expanding.
Expanding it?
Mm-hmm.
So if it is expand, then how long the gopis to take time from Vrindavan to go to Champahati? It is in East Bengal.
Oh no, then it is it is coming together.
Yeah,
not
so
expanding.
It is squeezing it.
Yes, squeezing.
Right? So it's not expanding it. So only the expand is take place when there is so many bhaktas, so many devotees are coming to Lord's pastimes, to getting Lord mercy. Dham got expand. They have as much as place are. When Lord want to do a race competition. Dham got expanded. So then you have a long pace to run. When he want to run some demon, the dham got expanded. So that's the things over here we can see. In Goloka Vrindavan also is like that. Is expanded as a kalpa lokas. That Srila Prabhupada are giving very nicely that details over here. Anyone have anything to add on it that we missed?
One question I have. It says, according to Jiva Goswami, Vaikuntha is also called Brahmaloka. So how is that? How is Brahmaloka equal to Vaikuntha?
So this is talking about Jiva Goswami is a Sheta Vaikuntha.
Kshetra Vaikuntha.
Sheta Vaikuntha.
Sheta Vaikuntha.
Yeah.
The one in the material world.
Right. Below the Viraja river. From where the Lord was ultimately taking care of everyone. The maintainer, Lord Vishnu.
That Vaikuntha is not technically Brahmaloka. That is even beyond Brahmaloka.
Yeah, but it's still
spiritual sky.
Right. Because of the below of this, Viraja, so that's still considered as close to Vaikuntha Loka, I mean, it's Vishnu Loka, Brahma Lokas. So that's is comparing as Brahma Lokas, Vaikuntha.
Is that the Shweta Deep then?
No. Sheta Deep in Goloka. We just read.
So there is also a Shweta Deep where the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu sits, or that's different?
Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is the Sheta Deep. And Karnodakshaya Vishnu is Shweta Vaikuntha.
Karnodakshaya is in Shweta Vaikuntha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Karnodakshaya Vishnu is the maintainer, no?
Yeah.
He's a Palanhar. So he's in the Shweta Vaikuntha.
Thank you.
Okay. Brahmande Prakashatar Krishnero Ichai Eki Swarup Tar Nahi Du Ekai. Brahmande Prakashtar Krishner Ichai Eki Swarup Tar Nahi Duikai. Parthasidna, could you read the translation, please?
Sure, Prabhu. That abode is manifested within the material world by the will of Lord Krishna. It is identical to that original Gokula. They are not two different bodies.
Purport also, please.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki joy. The above mentioned dhamas are movable by the omnipotent will of Lord Krishna. When Sri Krishna appears on the face of the earth, he can also make his dhamas appear without changing their original structure. One should not discriminate between the dhamas on the earth and those in the spiritual sky, thinking those on earth to be material and the original abodes to be spiritual. All of them are spiritual. Only for us who cannot experience anything beyond matter in our present conditioned state do the dhamas and the Lord himself in his archa form appear before us, resembling matter to give us the facility to see spirit with material eyes. In the beginning, this may be difficult for a neophyte to understand, but in due course, when one is advanced in devotional service, it will be easier and he will appreciate the Lord's presence in these tangible forms.
Jai. So I think it's like, Prabhupada gave completely nicely details. We sing the song that Śrī Caitanya Chaitanya Prabhu Jibe Daya Kori Sapar Sadasya Dhama Sahoy Avatori. Kṛṣṇa Caitanya Prabhu Jibe Daya Kori Sapar Sadasya Dhama Saho Avatori. And also, here, when Srimati Radharani got calls by Shubal. That time, Srimati Radharani are mentioning to Lord Krishna, Jatra na Vindavana naste, Jatra na Govardhanaha, Jatra na Kalindi naste. Then last line I forgot. So Radharani is mentioning, where is no Vrindavan? Where is not a Govardhan? Where is not a Kalindi, meaning river Yamuna? And Sharvapari, the translation is, where is not yourself, means yourself is Lord Krishna. How I will survive without you? And the same times, those three, Vrindavan, Govardhan, and Yamuna. I got course from Shubham, but I can't survive over there. Then Lord promised. Lord said, don't worry, Radha. Before you reach there, I will send everything. And when you come there, after that, I will come immediately. And that time Radharani said, okay. Then you promised me. I don't want to open my eyes until you come to me. When I open my eyes, I only want to see only one person, and that is you. And we know the rest of the pastimes. When Radharani appeared in a Vrindachal's house, and then it was kidnapping from there. Then it was fallen down in Barsana. Vishabhanu Maharaj found it. But when Vishabhanu Maharaj found it, that time also the small girl and his newborn baby girl are just closing her eyes. Even Vishabhanu Maharaj was not so happy. But because they don't have any children, they said, okay, it's okay. And then we know the pastimes are. So that's why in these Brahmandas in Vrindavan, it's not different than at all. I remember when it's like, in a normal eyes, if we see, we will see the same land, a same, mud color is a little bit of a brownie, a little bit of ash color, same water color is watery, clean. What is different in between? Only when your situation in a spiritual position, only on that time you can understood. But before that, we can't understand. So that's the thing, sir. So that's is mentioning Śrīla Krishna Kaviraj Goswami. In this material world in Vrindavan, what's appeared by Krishna's desire is the same which one in a Goloka Vrindavan and here in this earthly planets. Okay. Anything anyone want to add it? Okay, so then we can go to next verse. And as our time is almost over, so this verse will be last verse today. And then next we'll go from Thursday. Chintamani bhumikalpa vrikshamayabhan charma chakshe dekhe tara prapancher sham. Chintamani bhumikalpa vrikshamayabhan charma chakshe dekhe tara prapancher sham. Advaita Hariprabhu, translation, please.
Okay, Prabhuji. Chintamani bhumi kalpa vrikshamoy bon charma chakshe dekhe tare prapanchera shama. The land, there is touchstone Chintamani, and the forest abound with desert trees. Material eyes see it as an ordinary place.
And first paragraph of purport also.
Okay. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. By the grace of the Lord, his dhammas and he himself can all be present simultaneously without losing their original importance. Only when one fully develops in affection and love of Godhead can one see those dhammas in their original appearance. Srila Narottam Das Thakur, a great Acārya in the preceptorial line of Lord Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, has said for our benefit that one can perfectly see the dhammas only when one completely gives up the mentality of lording it over material nature. One's spiritual vision develops proportionately to one's giving up the debased mentality of unnecessarily enjoying matter. A diseased person who has become diseased because of a certain bad habit, ready to follow the advice of the physician, and as a natural sequence, he must attempt to give up the cause of the disease. The patient cannot indulge in the bad habit and at the same time expect to be cured by the physician. Modern materialistic civilization, however, is maintaining a diseased atmosphere. The living being is a spiritual spark, as spiritual as the Lord himself. The only difference is that the Lord is great and the living being is small. Qualitatively, they are one, but quantitatively, they are different. Therefore, since the living being is spiritual in constitution, he can be happy only in the spiritual sky, where there are unlimited spiritual spheres called Vaikunthas. A spiritual being conditioned by a material body must therefore try to get rid of his disease instead of developing the cause of the disease.
Okay, the last paragraph, Dibanand Prabhu.
Sure, Prabhuji. Foolish persons engrossed in their material assets are unnecessarily proud of being leaders of the people, but they ignore the spiritual value of man. Such illusioned leaders make plans covering any number of years, but they can hardly make humanity happy in a state conditioned by the threefold miseries inflicted by material nature. One cannot control the laws of nature by any amount of struggling. One must at last be subject to death, nature's ultimate law. Death, birth, old age, and illness are symptoms of the diseased condition of the living being. The highest aim of human life should be therefore be to get free from the miseries and go back home, back to Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Hey. Srila Prabhupada give all the details. Again, over here, in this material eyes, what we can see. We cannot see even ourselves also. How we can see a holy place? How we can see a holy land? Right? That's why saying that we have to see the holy dham and also holy places present of the Lord by the eyes of Shastras, which is called Shastra Chakshu. By Shastra Chakshu, only we can see the holy dham, the Lord's presence, and all the devotees are present. Other than that, we can't see that. And Srila Prabhupada gave a very nice mentioning when you are, just you're suffering with some disease. And if you go to doctors will going to tell you what is, by what cause you got this disease. And if you still continuously doing the same thing, your disease will not go away. Right? So that's where our duty to try to come out from this material disease, open the curtain from our eyes and keep a literature, the Shastras, in our eyes. By that Shastra Chakshu, we can see everything as the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? Any addition, subtractions? Anything you want to add? Anyone?
Oh, Prabhuji, I mean, I learned today from our class that when we do mantra jap, we should imagine the spiritual world. And all these descriptions are very helpful. I never did that before. I was always focused on how I am chanting the mantra. But today I learned that we should also think the dham, spiritual dham.
Okay. One thing, the spiritual dham, when you are chanting, if that thought comes automatically in your mind, that's absolutely fine. But when we chant, we should not think anything without the holy name. We can only think during our chanting the mantras, the word. When we hear that word is give you automatically the dham connection. But when we are hearing and thinking about dham, then our mind can get distracted from the holy name.
Oh, beautiful, Prabhuji. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So Naam should help help the bhakta.
Yep.
We should not deliberately think about the dham.
Right. Right.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. So until now, I never, the dham never came. So I'm still the neophyte, the beginner.
Right. So it's mentioned, specifically is mentioning on these dhammas, when you are going to see some dhammas, when you are there, so then don't see the dhamma with your material eyes. It's called charma chakshu. See the dhamma according to the eyes of the Shastra. I will, share with my personal experience. The very first times when I went to Vrindavan, I think it is 1995, most probably 1995, 1994 or something. 1995. So that time we were visiting, and I saw, we are in a Bhandit Bhat in Vrindavan. So in the Bhandit Bhat, I saw there's one Western devotee who was paying obeisances in just a normal mud. And I was a very new devotee. And I was just thinking, this devotee come from a, very rich country and things like that. And he's just, laying down on this ground, what is that? Okay, temple is here, he can pay obeisances here, but he's just paying obeisances there. But soon as, we are listening of Vrindavan Dham Mahatma, same time we are also reading about how we can see the holy Dham. Then I got, okay, so this is a holy Dham. First of all, we have to understand this Dham is not a material. This is Chinmay Dham. So when you go to the Dham, that time your understanding have to become the Dham is not a material, the Dham is a Chinmay. That's the thing, sir. Specifically, when you go to the Dham, when you go to the seeing to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that's why the Stotabni always said, Minmai Murti Nahatumi Shakshat Bhajendra Nandan. You are not a Murti, a deity form made by clay. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead who presenting here. Now, just presenting in front of my eyes. And that's what we offer. 7 artis to the Supreme Personality. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. So today's our time is over. So we'll keep here and we'll get some one point from one participants on today's class. What is really we learn something. First, I will go to Arindam and Rita.
Prabhu, it was I don't have proper adjective to explain this beauty of this chapter. As I mentioned, I was reading a little bit earlier, but initially it was a question that in my mind when you said with Shastra Chakshu we should see the Dham, but I have not read even a 1%, 0.1% of the Shastra. So how should we? I have not been to Bindavan or even Mayapur, any Dham. So how should we even listen to this, the Katha of the Dham? Then it's a realization that I have to read as quickly as possible. And the second thing I remember now is, okay, we have to listen about this Dham from those Pranay Bhakta. Just this thing came in my mind right now. And the description of this Dham itself, when I was reading even in the Bhagavatam, the second canto, 5th chapter, and then now is the 6th chapter, these are also mentioned there. The spiritual planets and dhams. So these itself creates that image in the mind. When we listen about this dham, we always think of the Lord Himself.
Yeah. And that's true. As you mentioned, that's the initial questions of you, as we didn't visit there and according to Shastra Chakshus, we want to see. Yes, that's you give answer also the same times. We can see the dham with the Shastra Chakshus, and the same times we can see the dham from Sadhu, Guru, Shastra. From the three. And Manoram Das Thakur Mahashai are writing, Gaurayamar Jeshabasthane Korila Brahmana Range Sheshabasthano Heriboyami Pranoi Bhakoto Sange. Even if I go to Holy Dham, I should not go alone. I should go with a pranay bhakta, with a humble devotee who can glorify that Holy Dham's glory. The Mahima. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Rita? Okay. I think everyone, Divanand Prabhu, Rita got frozen. Oh, you currently offline. Am I offline? Oh, sorry. Yeah. Rita, I was in offline actually.
Now it is fine.
Yeah. Okay, Rita.
So from today's class, you said that we should pay obeisances to Balarāma. So once I was reading the Mangalacharan, and this point came on my mind that, wait a minute, is there any mantra for Gaur and Nitai together? So that was the point I have learned today. And the Prabhupada said about the foolish scientist and all this, that we have all the thing in front of us, but we didn't accept without research. So that was the.
Okay. Thank you. Parthajidda?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. The thing I can tell you now that I learned from today's discussion is that the Vrindavan Dham in this material world is actually not the material, it's the spiritual, but we don't have that spiritual vision to see it. So we need Guru and Gauranga's mercy to see it.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Rachana Mata.
Prabhuji, I already mentioned, right? I learned we should see Dham, but you said the Dham should come through Bhagwan's name. And there are many things I learned. In fact, I learned about expansion, how it started from Krishna to Balarāma, from Balarāma to Shankarshan, then Mahavishnu and all. And third thing I learned is Pranam Mantra. And from my own real experience, I want to say one thing. Actually, we committed one mistake. So seriously, all dhams are Chintamani. And in 2019, when I visited Vrindavan Dham and Jaipur, Radha Govind Dev Ji and a couple of pilgrimage, my mom told me, for 3 years, Rachna, you don't come. And I said, why? She said, you are coming every year and you are not coming to your own town. I would call my parents to join in the pilgrimage. So she kind of upset that I am not going my own town and I'm calling them and going here and there. She was like, you are wandering. You come like for 2 weeks and you're wandering here, there. For 3 years, now you don't come. And Prabhuji, and 2020, 2021, I am not able to go to India. And my mom and myself, we were talking another day, and we said, why did you say, Mom, that for 3 years I should not come? So yes, the dhams are Chintamani. We should always think positive. Whatever our intention is, think positive, think good. And my mom's intention was good, but she said that now she is feeling so sad about it. And it is my realization now that yes, dhams are Chintamani. They listen to you. They listen to your thoughts.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Advaita Hari Prabhu. Okay, maybe Advaita Hari Prabhu not in the computer. Maybe Rose Mata, you can talk. What did you learn today?
No, but let someone else go first.
Not from your computer, but you can talk. Maybe from there the sound can come.
Okay. So I learned about the Balarāma, the incarnation of Balarāma, how Balarāma did how Krishna himself, he has the all potency of Krishna. I learned also about the Mahāprabhu supposed to talk about, what you say when we get in front of deities. Which I had a question, it was they were very person like me, we don't know. And they have a say when you are doing you saying in the prana, you have to be specific the word you are saying, so you don't make a mistake. And it happens that one day I was singing and I said, they was singing the song, the morning I pronounced, the pronunciation was not good. And then one of the devotee approached me, says, not how they say it. So whatever we say different on the mantra is not good. It's offensive. I was committing offense. The word I was saying, I was replacing myself. Said to Krishna. So how we can, for us, how we can get a short mantra to say, instead to say all this, make a mistake.
Yeah, so as Rojmata's question is, sometimes when we pay obeisances and the pranam mantras are really too long. So many times it's not, I can't remember or I cannot remember all the mantras. So if I pronounce wrongly, or some places I cut down, I pronounce in something, so actually I feel I'm creating offenses. So how I can do that? The very easy way. What is the convenient way? Means you can talk your own mother tongue. Lord understood everyone's language. So just simply when you get the obeisances, by your word, your own word, you just say, my dear Lord, Gaura and Nityananda Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. On your own word, if I'm a Bengali, if I think I'm not pronouncing proper English, I will say in Bengali. Whatever in your mother tongue, you say in your mother tongue. Keep the name Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Nityananda, or Gaura Nitai. Yeah. Everyone, Lord Ramachandra, my dear Lord Ramachandra, please accept my humble obeisances. My dear Lord Lakshman, please take and accept my humble obeisances. Oh Mother Sita, please accept my humble obeisances. Oh great devotee of Hanuman, please accept my humble obeisances. You don't have to say complete mantras also, if you can.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Advaita Hari Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. Well, I joined a little late.
Yeah.
But in general, the main understanding that I'm taking away from this class is that there is a very big similarity between the spiritual world and the material world. Sometimes we think that spiritual world is going to be different from what we see in this material world. There are differences, obviously. Everything is spiritual, but structure-wise, as Prabhupada mentions, structure-wise, the spiritual world is very much similar to what we see in the material world. So that is one of my understanding in this particular class.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, Divanand Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I think the devotees all explained a lot of points, so there's nothing much to add. But yeah, I like the two verses that came from Swarup Damodar's diary. I think you can memorize that or try to memorize that. And I also like the fact that whatever is in the spiritual world is in the material world. So it's not different. It's the same. Vrindavan is the same Vrindavan here and same Vrindavan up. But we need to have eyes, the right kind of eyes. And I was also thinking that only, so one, we need the eyes from the Shastra, but at the same time, we need, like you said, Prabhu, that we need to, when we go to the Dham, we go with a devotee. And if that devotee knows Shastra, knows the Katha, that's even much better than, because then you can hear about the Dham while in the Dham. And I think that's another best way to understand the Dham or relish the Dham and really get the most out of it is by hearing. So I remember when I went to Jagannath Puri first time, and this was 2018, I went there for the first time for my Guru Maharaj's Yatra. And there were so many devotees, there were so many kathas, and it was just amazing. It was amazing to hear while in the Dham, the katha. So, and especially with the association of devotees. So association of devotees plus katha is just the best way to see the Dham. And we were just going from one place to another place, and there were like, what, 3,000, 5,000 devotees out there. And it was just an amazing atmosphere. It was amazing to hear the katha, then go to the place, and I really like it because I was actually alone there from here, and so I didn't have anyone there, no one was from US. There were mostly devotees from India, or maybe some other countries, but mostly from India. So every time we used to hear the katha, and then there was outside, they used to have three-wheelers, and those three-wheelers used to come, and I was alone. So there were groups of devotees going, because there was someone from Delhi, someone from Faridabad, someone from UP, South India. So all those devotees they were in group, and they used to go. So I used to tell, whenever three-wheeler used to come, and then I used to ask them, do you have space for one? And that group, they used to say, okay, yeah, we do have space for one. Okay, so one day I would join devotees from Delhi. One day I would join devotees from Faridabad. One day I would join devotees from Mumbai. And each group used to have one senior devotee who used to know the pastimes and the places that we are visiting. So it was just beautiful. It was like whenever we used to go to that location, whether we are going to Puri temple or we are going to Tota Gopinath, there is always one person who is speaking about the pastimes of that location, of that place, and it was just amazing. So that's how we should be seeing the dham. Is I got that example by actually going to Jagannath Puri. So yes, I want to. My desire is to see Vrindavan like that. I haven't seen Vrindavan like that, and I've been thinking about this every year. I think, like, when can I get a chance to go with a group of devotees where I can see the dham, where I can hear about the dham while I'm at that particular dham. So, but yes, Prabhu, this is also beautiful. There is one, based on what Rachna Mataji was saying, there is one meditation by Sachinandan Swami Maharaj, on chanting with the holy dham. So if you can search on SoundCloud, you'll see it. That's a very beautiful, but it's all about picking the right kind of dham and then going in that kind of meditation for that particular dham. So it could be anything, Vrindavan or Puri or Mayapur. So. But yes, Prabhu, a lot of takeaways from this class. It was very beautiful, and thank you so much.
Jai Prabhu, thank you so much to everyone. It was very nice to get all of your association. As you know, this is the event we are doing it twice a week, and I always feel blessed that all our great devotees, great soul, and so much enthusiasm all of you have to read together. We discuss together, and we try to learn something from there. I think it's like Chaitanya Mahāprabhu, our Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, and all will get happy. And most that we can improve ourselves on position of our thinking, thoughtness, and our spiritual progress. That's, I think, is like very important, because see, this is the material disease we always have. We always forget. And how we can forget? Even Krishna is Bhagavan. Sometimes have to be is like awaken us every time. That's why when we see each other, we didn't say hi, hello. We say Hare Krishna. Why? Because ultimately we try to awake ourselves, not to fall asleep, to forget Krishna. No? And that's why the Shastra said, Satato smartabhya Vishnu vismartabhya najachuti. So that's the things are ultimately. So thank you so much all, and we'll see you on Thursday evening. Until that, please stay safe. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhasya kvachinjave vancha Titanang pavo nitya Vishnu namo namaha. Ananda Guru Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Jagad Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.
This is Manoram Krishna Prabhu ki
Jai.
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 Hare Krishna.